coming up down Rookie Rory, we've got a huge clash as we take on Mainz. If we beat these guys, we could go 8 points clear of them in that promotion relegation spot to try and make their way up to the Bundesliga next season. And also those transfers that we have planned at the end of yesterday's episode did go through, and we had spare money, so we've got 3 new players here at Jahn Regensburg. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 50 of Rookie Rory here on Shaun Does FM with Jahn Regensburg. I hope you're doing well and come up day first up. A massive game for our automatic promotion hopes here in this Vibe Bundesliga. We take on Mainz away from home. Those guys sitting in third, and we currently have a 4-point gap on top of the table. So if we can pick up a win there, that would be absolutely massive for our chances to gain automatic promotion. And then I'll play Wiesbaden off camera before we come back and take on a decent Düsseldorf team away from home as they sit down in 5th, but they are 15 points behind us on that league table. And also, as mentioned during the intro, we've got a few more transfers than I initially planned off the back of the sale of Pau Fernández. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. But this does come off the back of the 2 games we did play off the back of the winter break. In yesterday's episode, Group of Earth, we picked up a 3-2 win against them, then a 3-1 against Hanover. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Before we get stuck in to the 2 results off the back of that, which we did pick up wins in, it's time to check out the transfer centre, because some stuff did happen both before and around those games involving deadline day, and of course those deals that we did have scheduled to go through. So we'll sort this out here in terms of chronological order so you guys can see what did happen. Obviously, a fair bit of money coming in there with that sale to Mainz of Pau Fernández for 3.5 million. We discussed this during yesterday's episode. He did want to leave, but considering we only bought him for 525k and used him as a backup right back, I think that's exceptional business. Obviously not super ideal that he is going to a promotion rival, especially as we take them on first up in today's episode. But he's also going there as a squad player, so I don't think that's a bad bit of business at all, especially because we upgraded there at right back, replacing him with Alex Jimenez for £3.2 million. It was only 2.2 million up front though, so it did mean we had some spare cash to spend if we needed it. But you can see him, just 1 game for us so far, getting a solid 6.6 there on debut in one of those wins that we did just pick up. We'll try and integrate him slowly into our team here at Jahn Regensburg, but does come in as the new first choice right back over Acer. So I think there we did quite well getting rid of Fernández and bringing him there for a slightly lower fee up front, albeit in the long term. I think that deal still ends up being lower, but we haven't spent too much. And because of that spare money that we did have, about 1.5 million, I did then check and see what else we could do. And we signed 2 other players going into deadline day. First up, Adama Kamara came in from FC Versailles 78 over, I believe that would be in France. Indeed, that is the case down in the Championnat National. To be fair, he's a really good player for being down at that level. We signed him for 350k, and going back here to his profile, quite a bit of potential, and actually a little bit better than Charlie Allen. The reason that we did sign this guy, obviously Charlie Allen picked up an injury in that first game of yesterday's episode and was out long term for about 5 to 7 weeks. The only issue is off the back of the first game that this guy played, he then also got injured with an abdominal strain, out for 10 days to 3 weeks. So to be fair, that little bit there of extra squad depth, we tried to sign in central attacking midfield as well as the advanced playmaker when we do use a 4-3-3. Hasn't quite paid off, but usually he'd be the backup to Aaron Ramsey. So I actually think there we've done quite well signing the 18-year-old there who is out of Guinea. And with the extra money that we still have left over on deadline day, I did find someone who looked a little bit better than Racine Bullock. So I made sure that we actually signed him while we had the money in Sebastian Lopez from Kortrijk for 2.5 million overall, but I'm pretty sure we only spent about 1 million up front. There you can see him there, that ball winner on defend. Some super mental attributes this guy has here, the 20-year-old out of Colombia, so we snapped him up while we could. So a couple of new first choice players we've signed with that money we did get from that Pau Fernández deal. It does mean now, going to the back half of the season, if we quickly make our way over to the 2 Bundesliga and check out the season preview, once we click the right tab, we are smack bang mid-table, and our odds actually aren't that bad. Still not favoured as much as the 2 teams that we're currently competing for those automatic promotion spots in Mainz and Nuremberg, but certainly have improved this team since we first got here, and they were down around 16th at the start of last season. So I think that sale of Pau Fernández, we have done quite well with that money. Also just noticed there too that Manrique's actually made his way into that overall best 11. Quite interestingly, we had some bids coming in for him on deadline day of £8 million, but couldn't find anyone to replace him that was better, so we kept hold of him. But certainly, £8 million for Manrique would have been quite a good deal. Maybe we sell him if we get a bid like that coming in going into next season, especially if we can sign better players if we make our way up to the Bundesliga. But off the back of those deals, we have played 2 games in the 2 Bundesliga, and we did pick up wins in both of them as expected. 2-1 over Magdeburg away from home. Good start here. A Matthew Stollery opener. Then, though, they grabbed an equaliser with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Thankfully, Leighton Stewart, straight off the restart, did get us back in front. We just do enough there to hold on for a 1-goal win. And then back home, we took on Paderborn and thumped them 4-1, a double there to Carlos Manrique, Walden and Stewart also on the score sheet. Off the back of Paderborn actually grabbing the opener, we continue to be a little bit slow here with this Buxton-based style system we are using with Jahn Regensburg, but it does mean that we've actually made our way up to top spot on the table. Nuremberg have started to draw a few more games than they had been before yesterday's episode. They are still unbeaten, but we've jumped above them because of goal differential and 4 points back to Mainz, a further 9 points back to Eintracht Braunschweig. We've got a 13-point gap on those teams outside of the promotion hunt. So it does mean if we can pick up a win first up here when we take on Mainz, that would make it a 7-point gap over those guys. You'd like to think then we'd have a pretty darn good chance of getting automatic promotion to the Bundesliga for next season. Stefan Baumgart still there with his cheese cutter and his 4-2-3-1. They are, though, in some pretty good form. 2 draws and 2 wins off the back of the winter break. Not quite going as well as we are, but not going too badly. So fingers crossed here we can pick up a decent result, even though this one is away from home. Making our way over to the Data Hub. Previous meetings, we did pick up, when we played them earlier this season, a 2-1 win. So hopefully can do something similar. Obviously, they weren't helped out there by a late red card, but that was in the 87th minute. Pretty sure we would have held on and picked up 3 points from that game anyway. And in our first season here, it was 2 draws so far. Haven't suffered defeat here to this Mainz team. Fingers crossed that will continue. Albeit going into this game, I think unlike what we did there for that 2-1 win over Mainz at the start of the season, we are recommended to use a 4-3-3. So we're going to try that here first up in today's episode. So far off the back of the winter break, we have just been using the 4-2-3-1, albeit before that break, a couple of quite nice results there with the 4-3-3, albeit that was against some pretty average teams in Kaiserslautern and Dynamo Dresden. In terms of injuries going into today's episode, we've got those 2 in central attacking midfield. Chalial now actually coming back sooner than our new signing in Adama Kamara. And a bit more concerningly, Lino Sousa, who had kind of stamped his mark there as our first choice left back over Uwe Dorn with all the chances that had been creating. Fractured ribs in training, is out for 3 to 5 weeks. So that actually is quite a big blow potentially down our left-hand side. Fingers crossed that Dorn can come in and do a job for us there at left back like we expected him to when we signed him from Hertha Berlin at the start of the season. But Sousa has been in great form this year, 18 appearances and 10 assists. That could actually be something that we do miss in this upcoming game, but attribute-wise, Dorn should be better, so fingers crossed that does hold true here. With this 4-3-3, Jimenez is now familiar enough with our tactic that we can start him there at right back, and also Sebastian Lopez is a bit more familiar in defensive midfield as a ball winner than he is in our 4-2-3-1 system, where he does play a little bit further forward. So we're going to try him here in this first game of today's episode for his first start off the back of that deadline day move. So a few new faces here in our team for this first game of today's episode, but fingers crossed we can pick up a win that would certainly make our task in the back half of this season a lot easier if we can grab a gap of 7 points over Mainz. If we lose this, obviously that would not be ideal, especially if Nuremberg are able to pick up a win. But even a draw wouldn't actually be the worst result from this game with that 4-point gap we currently have over Mainz. So we're just going to give here a number to Paul. Cooper has made his way up from the B team for this game. That's because of that injury that we have got to Sousa. And Brian Hine did depart the club. Of course, that's the reason that Cooper has been called up while Sousa is out with that injury. So we'll give him a number here as he potentially could make his debut in this game from the bench. Ideally wouldn't, because I do think he's definitely going to be a lot better as a centre-back, but can do a job for us through at left-back. We could have signed someone to replace Brian Hine once we got rid of him, but there was no one better on a shortlist. May as well promote from within. So we've brought up the Cooper from our B team. There's a reminder of that table. A win here, obviously, would be ideal. Would make sure that we hold top spot no matter what Nuremberg do when they play their game. I believe a day off the back of our one, but Mainz away from home, this could be quite tricky. but we bet them early this season. A change in shape though, we'll see if that's a good idea. If it doesn't end up being that great, obviously we might then go back and see what worked in the first half of the season and just stick with that idea. Say for the most part, it will be the 4-2-3-1, but fair to say, a little bit surprised we are going here with a 4-3-3, but I'm trusting my analyst. Let's hope we can get the job done here with something a bit more defensive. I suppose it makes sense away from home against a quite good team. It looks like currently there's 3 teams in this league who are a lot better than the rest, and we are definitely in amongst them. So fingers crossed here we find a way to pick up a win today. We're in the green and Mainz at home are in the red. It's been a quiet start so far, just one yellow card there for a Mainz player at the 10-minute mark. But so far, it's been pretty quiet. Mainz, to be fair, do need 3 points from this game, a heck of a lot more than I think we do. So I don't think we mind too much if it's a quiet game and we can pick up a point. But first highlight comes here just shy of the half-hour mark. We're on the ball from a free kick. Wiesbaden starts to make his way forward there down that right-hand side. Floats that one far post looking there for Stollery. Headed away, but Dorm can get on the ball, plays it back there to Manrique. Ramsey goes back to Lopez in his starting debut. We go out there to the right-hand side through Jimenez. A couple of our new players there linking up quite nicely. And here's Jimenez back on the ball. Ramsey goes back to Lopez, starts to make his way forward. Manrique will pick out Dawn here in a good bit of space. Tries to square that one. It goes out to Stollery off a deflection. And somehow their goalkeeper comes up with a massive save. Really should have made it 1-0 there from that chance, albeit now got a set piece. We look far post. Unfortunately, there's no one home. And actually, Mainz here could get a good chance on the counter-attack, but thankfully, I dare say that would have been Stollery who did track back, and we keep it at 0-0. But good chance early there through Stollery. Unfortunately, can't put it away now. Ruslan from that corner, and it just doesn't find its way over the line, and Stewart is then offsides. A couple of chances for us here in the first half to take a 1-0 lead away from home, and as Jimenez does pick up a yellow card. We also encourage there at just the right time to cut out what looked like a quite dangerous free kick for Mainz, but Jimenez struggling in his starting debut on a 6.3, and obviously that yellow card probably would have taken him off anyway. So Ostich there can come on at right back, and also Meyer for Stollery, who had that big chance, and because he didn't take it, has just dropped down to a 6.4. So a couple of changes there at right back and left wing. But to be fair, despite the fact so far stats-wise, we're not looking too great compared to the opposition. Highlight-wise, it has been quite encouraging. So fingers crossed here we can grab something from this game. We really don't want to lose it. That would certainly tighten things up at the top here of the 2 Bundesliga. And thankfully, the first half of the second half, we are on the ball. Ostich here just going backwards a little bit, plays it back to Ruslan. We try and play a ball forward. It's a shocking effort there, though, from the Mainz defence, and we put it away through Leighton Stewart. Quite fortunate that we've scored that. I'm pretty sure he was onside. Indeed, he was. It's a very fortunate goal, but based on the highlights we've seen, I think we deserve to take the 1-0 lead. It's Frederick there who goes down nowhere near the ball, and Stewart there just gets a free pass inside the box and just does enough there to beat the Mainz goalkeeper, and we eventually do take a 1-0 lead. He's clearly onside, but that centre-back there has hit an absolute shocker, and that allows us to take a 1-0 lead. So fingers crossed now we can hold on, but a free kick only a few minutes later. Mainz, Ramos does charge forward, thankfully get a block on that one. Hyun-Suk though is back on the ball for Mainz. They try and put that into the mix with Ruslan. Nice header away, and big chance for us now on the counter-attack. Stewart, nice ball forward there to Walden. Will he look to square this? No, he won't. There's a tug there though. We might get a chance from the penalty spot through Carlos Manrique, who to be fair this season has been pretty reliable from these situations. Big chance for us here to hopefully put a little bit of a nail in the coffin of Mainz for their automatic promotion hopes. If Manrique can put this away and make it 2-0. But I shouldn't have mentioned his record. It's a decent save that from Darman to keep it at 1-0. So unfortunately, big chance for us there to put this game away. And now we might make a sub because Manrique drops down to a 6.2. Collier can come on for him. Just actually seeing if Ramsey might be a little bit better in that box-to-box midfield role than Collier, but indeed that's not the case. Collier can come on there in box-to-box midfield. In fact, just before that sub does go through, a free kick now to Mainz, and someone there's pushed one of their players in the back. We might have gone from having a chance to go 2-0 in front from the spot to now giving them one to make it 1-1. Indeed, that is the case. Of Kraus here will step up from the spot. Can Lukic go the right way? No, he can't. That is a big momentum shifter in this game, that penalty save from Manrique, and we give away a penalty down the other end, and Kraus can put that one away. So unfortunately, we've kind of blown the a good chance to put this game to bed now, given Mainz a chance to actually take all 3 points from this. With that penalty, Lopez picks up a yellow card, so Racine Bulic can come on for him. Still got one more sub we can use in the last 25 minutes, but very frustrated with that penalty situation that really should have been 2-0. Instead, it's 1-1. So big missed chance there from Carlos Manrique, who's been great for us so far this season. And now Max Meyer picks up a yellow card. We did sub him on, so I don't think that's going to be the last sub that we do use in this game. But Aaron Ramsey on a 6.4. There isn't really anyone, though, who can play midfield, so we can't really use that as our final sub. So actually wait and see if someone drops down to Red Hart later in this game, what we do with that final sub. It's Aaron Ramsey, but as we saw before, there's no real option on the bench to come on for him. So still waiting here to see what we do with this final sub as we make our way into the final 5 minutes. Let's now try and go a little bit wider, a little higher tempo, and just see if that might help us here try and pick up a winner in this game. Just looking at ratings as well, still not sure if we need to use the final sub just yet. We could switch to a 4-2-3-1 and see if that does help out, and maybe we then take off Ramsey and bring on Max Meyer, because he can play in central attacking midfield and Greenwood can go out left. So I think that actually does make some sense with what we do here with our final sub. Try a 4-2-3-1, fingers crossed it does work. As now Dawn goes down to Red Hart. That actually might have been a smarter idea, just shoring up our defence, but it looks like this one's going to finish 1-1. A late free kick though, Collier will float this far post. It goes out to Meyer, who we did put centrally. Unfortunately, just gets under that one a little bit too much, and some drop points there away from home. To be fair, as I said before the game, I think that's not the worst for us. Mine's probably that does hurt a little bit more, because our run home off the back of taking on Nuremberg in a little while is quite easy. Once we get through this next patch we've got over the course of these next 2 episodes, if we can stay top of the table and in one of those automatic promotion spots, we should be pretty clear to go up to the Bundesliga for next season. But unfortunately, did blow there a good chance to pick up a win there with that penalty that Manrique missed. And then going down the other end, Kraus gets one and puts it away. So unfortunately, had a chance there to kind of put a nail in the coffin of Mainz. But thankfully, we've still a 4-point gap over them in that promotion relegation game slot. I'm going to play Wiesbaden off camera, and then we'll come back and take on Fortuna Düsseldorf. Fingers crossed, we'll still be on top of the table. And here are the highlights from that Wiesbaden game. Just the one goal in this one. It came just shy of the half-hour mark. Near post corner, and Ruslan did put that one away. Going back here to the 4-2-3-1, and thankfully, we just did enough to pick up a 1-0 win. Certainly not as big a margin as you might expect, but thankfully we're getting the job done there with our 4-2-3-1. We pick up 3 points, and because Nuremberg had just lost their first game of the season on that same match day, let's go back and find it. It was a 2-0 defeat at Hertha Berlin. We do go back above them, 1 point clear on top of these Vibe Bundesliga. So thankfully, those drop points at Mainz, they don't prove too costly. If you're wondering, Mainz, they picked up a win away at Paderborn. So the same situation as we had at the start of today's episode, that 4-point gap there over Mainz. 15 points back now, though, to Fortuna Düsseldorf, who sit in 4th, and that is a team that we are about to take on. So fingers crossed here, we continue our good form here off the back of the winter break, but these guys actually not going too badly either, obviously, because they've snuck their way up into that 4th spot. Recent wins there over Hansa Rostock, Dynamo Dresden, and Grufer Fürth, and also they've taken points off Hanover, who are up there inside that top half of the table. The only real average result there is that 1-1 draw against Kaiserslautern, who are down there in the bottom half. These guys are going quite decently again against the manager, who does like a 4-2-3-1. So again, our analyst does recommend here that we go with a 4-3-3. A little bit surprising, because I thought these guys might be a team that we could use the 4-2-3-1 against. If we have a look at our previous meetings, we have been doing quite well against them. 3 wins since we got here. Let's check out what we did earlier this season. I dare say it will be with a 4-2-3-1, because we've used that for most of the season. In fact, no, it was a 4-3-3 that we did beat these guys with, so I suppose it does make sense to use that formation in this game. So this time, we can trust that analyst. He's not thrown up something quite random there out of nowhere, but the same starting line we're going to put out here for this game as we did for that previous one. But coming back from injury on the bench, Charlie Allen is back, so it does mean now we've got someone who can play the advanced playmaker role if Aaron Ramsey does drop down to a red heart, but to be fair, his recent form has been quite good, sitting there on a 7.12, and also we've finally got a decent backup striker available. Sandro Veloso is also back from his injury, so fingers crossed there can this time pick up a win away from home with this 4-3-3. If you're wondering, we do have Nuremberg and Mainz on this match day. Mainz taking on Magdeburg away, and a couple of days off the back of our game on the Sunday, Nuremberg host Kaiserslautern. To be fair, you'd probably expect both teams there to pick up results. So fingers crossed here, we get the job done in what could be a bit of a tricky one away from home against the team who do sit in fourth. But hopefully, seeing as we beat them with this formation in the first half of the season, we can do it again this time, even though this one is away from home. There's a reminder of those players who are back from injury for this game. So fingers crossed here, we can pick up a win and keep that nice gap over the likes of Mainz, and also hopefully hold top spot over Nuremberg. Would be quite nice to win the league here in the second tier of Germany, but mainly we want one of those top two spots. To be fair, uniform wise, I dare say this one's going to be quite similar to the first game we played. Looks like we're in the green and Fortuna Düsseldorf do have a red badge, so you'd imagine they'll be wearing about the same colours as Mainz did in that first game. Indeed, their stuff here coming up in red, and they are sticking with their 4-2-3-1. Apple Camp there in central attacking midfield, I think, is one of their better players, but we're sticking here with the 4-3-3. To be fair, we probably should have picked up a win there in that game where we did take on Mainz. Just that penalty issue that we did have with Manrik put that one away. I think we pick up all 3 points from that game, but no, his got saved, and then we gave one away down the other end of the field, and it did prove costly. But fingers crossed this time, no penalty issues, and we can pick up a win. And thankfully, on the front foot here, nice and early. To be fair, that was also the case in the first game. Just took a bit longer for the highlights to come through. But Ruslan here will find Jimenez down our right-hand side. Fingers crossed he does a bit better here in this game. Some nice short passing. I think Walden got the chance there, but that one does come off the woodwork. So unfortunately, a good chance for us there, which doesn't quite hit the target, and we do stay on the attack. So a good start from us here in this game. It missed a decent chance to make it 1-0, but just shy of the 10-minute mark, we continue to put pressure on here. A front in a pretty similar situation to where that first highlight came from there. Dawn, he will find Stollery, who cuts inside, and this time can put it away, unlike what happened in the first half of that Mainz game, and give us a nice early 1-0 lead. So fingers crossed here, we might show that there's a bit of a quality gap between the top 3 teams in this league and the rest, because early goal for us here, that should certainly help. Nice work there from Stollery. To be fair, that did take a pretty big deflection off a Düsseldorf defender, but to be fair, I think that one might be making its way into the back of the net anyway. Thankfully, Stollery does just stay onside the centre back there, a bit deeper than the rest of his defensive line, so it does mean Stollery can put that one away. Thankfully, he's done a pretty good job since he did ask to get some more game time, so I think soon he'll drop his concerns, which might help our dynamics quite a bit. We've been able to keep them quite good with those sales that we have been making. But Stollery again here is on the attack. We'll try and curve that one top right corner, but unfortunately gets under that one way too much. So it does stay 1-0 to Jahn Regensburg, but so far well and truly on the front foot. So fingers crossed this time we can put these guys away, unlike what did happen in that Mainz game, as Jimenez picks up a yellow card. Now a corner, can't find anyone there at the far post, but try and play it back into the mixer, and Stollery does get brought down. He's been a big hand in this game, and it might be a chance here at redemption for Carlos Manrique from the penalty spot. Will it get awarded? Yes, it will. So fingers crossed this time Carlos Manrique can put it away like he's done so well so often this season. Let's hope this time that doesn't put the curse on things, and thankfully it doesn't. Manrique there sends their goalkeeper the wrong way. It's a good pen into that top right corner, and we make it 2-0. We'll just get there Jimenez to ease off tackles as we've made it 2-0. Hopefully can just make sure we don't go down to 10 men before half-time in this game and bring on Ostiach in his place. But so far, good performance from us here away from home. This does seem like a team. The 4-3-3 does really suit. So thankfully, a bit more comfy in this one than we were in that Mainz game. This time, Manrique does put the penalty away, and we've got that cushion goal lead just before half-time. But now it's Düsseldorf here on the attack, looking quite dangerous off the back of that goal that we did score. They try and get a header off the a looping one just inside that left-hand upright. Thankfully, that one's just off target. We'd be a bit annoyed if they got a goal back off the back of that penalty that we did put away. Would have been quite similar to that Mainz game, but now we're on the attack here. Stollery will try and score something pretty similar to the first goal, but that time just can't quite curve it inside that right-hand upright. Stollery looking very dangerous here in the first half for us. could have made it 3-0, but I think going into half-time, we'll take the 2-0 lead, albeit now a chance for us here from set piece. Aaron Ramsey will look for Ruslan at the near post, who puts it away, and this should be 3 very, very comfortable points here we pick up in the second game of today's episode. So indeed it looks like might be a decent golf and quality here between these top 3 teams and the rest of the 2 Bundesliga. This is the 4th team away from home, and we're doing a number on them here with our 4-3-3. So very impressed with that first half. We take a 3-0 lead. Obviously, we'll take off Jimenez on that yellow card for Ostojic. Just seeing as well here if there's some players who could use some game time in the second half, but I think for now we'll just stick with what's working and make subs if we absolutely need to when players do get tired. But very happy with how that first half has gone with that 3-0 lead. Fingers crossed we can see this out and things stay pretty calm here during the course of the second half, but so far it's looking quite good as Uwe Dorm does pick up a yellow card. So now Paul Cooper can come on for, I think this will be his debut for us here in the first team at Jahn Regensburg down that left-hand side. There's what it looks like as a wing-back on attack. Still definitely think in the long term he'll be more of a centre-back option. Florian Carstens, his contract expires at the end of the season. Not too sure if we'll keep him around because he isn't looking that great these days in terms of his ratings. A free kick there, try and float that one far post. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper can claim that one though. 10 minutes into the second half, he pumps this one deep, but we should win this through Ruslan. But that header just not quite on the mark, and now it's actually a chance here for Düsseldorf on the counter-attack. Applecamp will pick outside Ben Yusuf, who puts that one away, and unfortunately, off the back of that free kick, a big clearance there from the Düsseldorf goalkeeper, Ignatjev. He tried to hit it down to a teammate, didn't find him, and on the back foot from there, trying to cover running backwards, can't do it too well, and Ben Yusuf can put that away in the bottom left corner. So unfortunately, our clean sheet's gone to be fair. That might not be the worst thing financially for the club at this stage because our finances aren't too good, but in Germany, that tends to get topped up quite nicely at the end of the season. So hopefully, off the back of a Bundesliga promotion, we should be okay with our finances here at Jahn Regensburg as we make our way now. It was the final 15 minutes of this game. Stollery having a brilliant one, but drops down to a red heart. So Maxmeyer can come on at left wing. Also, we'll bring on Veloso or Leighton Stewart, seeing as he's coming back from injury while he's quite short of match sharpness. There should be a situation we can give him some game time where it doesn't prove costly, because still looking quite comfortable despite that goal that we did concede. And now it's Lewis Walden who drops down to a red heart. What we can do here is chuck Veloso at right wing and try Charlie Allen as a striker to get him up to full fitness coming back from injury. So I think that's what we're going to do here with this final sub, something a little bit unorthodox because not too sure how well he'll go here as an advanced forward, but get some minutes here into these guys coming back from injury while we can with only 10 minutes or so left in this game with this 3-1 lead. In fact, we're off the back of that. We may as well time waste now just to make sure that hopefully nothing screwy happening late here in this one away from home, because it was a really good first half from us. The second half hasn't been quite so good, but it looks like we're going to hold on and pick up all 3 points now. We make our way to the final 5 minutes. Let's time waste even more and chuck our wing backs onto fullbacks on support instead, and hopefully just make sure we hold on and pick up all 3 points from this game to keep ourselves in top spot on these by Bundesliga. We quickly make our way through 5 minutes of added time, and that's a pretty comfy win there away from home against 4th place second up in today's episode. Great first half there. Stollery picked up the first goal, and then the penalty, which was scored by Manrique and Ruslan from that set piece right before halftime, which thankfully did mean that second half we could just relax a little bit more. They grabbed one back there through Ben Yusuf 10 minutes and off the back with a bit of an average header from Ruslan, but thankfully it doesn't prove costly. Can give some players there some minutes coming back from injury, and we pick up a comfy 3-1 win, which for now will see us go quite a few points clear on top of the league. We'll hold their spot, but it depends how Nuremberg and Mainz go in their games later this match day. So a pretty decent episode for us there in terms of results. We pick up a draw away at Mainz. Could have been a win if Manrique put away that penalty, but thankfully makes up for it there in that 3-1 win over Fortuna Düsseldorf. Of course, we do still hold top spot in the league. Mainz, though, have slipped behind a little bit further off the back of a draw at Magdeburg. Unfortunately, Nuremberg get right back into winning form. That was with a 1-0 win against Kaiserslautern. They're still only 1 point behind us, but now we've got a 6-point gap over Mainz, a bit more than what we had at the start of today's episode. So I'd like to think now we're looking pretty good for an automatic promotion spot. Fingers crossed we'll come back tomorrow and definitely see if that will be the case. But certainly, with only 10 games left in the season, 16 points clear of Hertha Berlin, we should at the very worst be playing in that promotion relegation game with the third worst team in the Bundesliga at the moment. Looks like that might be Stuttgart, but St. Pauli aren't too far away. And of course, that's a team we did beat in the second part last season when they were down here in the Zweite Bundesliga. So to be fair, if we could get someone like St. Pauli, that would be quite nice. But coming up tomorrow, we've got some pretty big games again. It should finish up our toughest patch here of the season because our run home, it does look quite kind. I'll take on Werder Bremen off camera. Should beat them even though they were the preseason favourites as they're down in 14th and that one's at home. We'll come back now. Eintracht Braunschweig have been a little bit of a bogey team for us so far in the safe. Fingers crossed we can get something off those guys away from home. Heidenheim not doing too badly either, but Nuremberg away, that is a massive game. Off the back of that, it's fair to say things do get a lot easier. So we'll come back tomorrow and play both Eintracht Braunschweig and Nuremberg away from home. If we can keep ourselves in top spot by the time that episode does come to an end, I'd expect us to get automatically promoted up to the Bundesliga, and fingers crossed as well, we might even be able to extend that gap on Mainz in third spot as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode with those games there against Mainz as well as Düsseldorf. If you did, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well until tomorrow for that double header. Eintracht Braunschweig and Nuremberg, a massive game there, second up away from home. We hopefully might go close to sealing our spot in the Bundesliga for next season. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.